I just realized that I'm on mute. So I'll have to clip out that first 30 seconds. But welcome to the Common Sense Show. Listen, I was supposed to have a guest today. I was supposed to do an interview, but I realized very quickly that my guest might not show up. The reality is that we reached out to this guest several times, no response. Reminded this guest to come on, no response. And likely we will never invite this guest on the podcast again. And so, because I promised a live today, and I want to be live with you anyway, I decided to go live and take a look at some businesses for sale. I've been involved in a few. I've been involved and have advised on a few M&A transactions for small businesses, and I am going to be involved with M&A for small business in the future again, because that's just the world I've lived in for a long time, and that's the world I love, and that's the world I'm going to continue to be a part of. So I thought I would just spend this live lunch hour, this business lunch hour, talking about and just going through some of the businesses for sale, like on Biz Buy Sell. We'll take a look at them and see what I think about them. And I'll give you some ideas about buying a business, red flags, stuff like that. Does that sound good? Let's do that. All right, so let me share my screen or my tab. All right, so here we are. Oh, let me make this a little bigger so you can actually see it. Is that better? Yes. Much, I think. It might be a little too big, but oh no, that's pretty good. Okay. All right, so let's go through it. For construction-based businesses, I believe that cash flow in construction-based businesses is very important. So let's just discuss this particularly. Cash flow in any business is important. Net profitability is probably the most important out of all businesses, but cash flow in particular in construction. And here's why. Oftentimes with construction projects, you need to be bonded, especially when the bigger the project is, whether you're doing a $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, $750,000 project, or $2 million project, $10 million, $50 million, you have to have a bond that basically ties your company to that project, ensures that it's gonna be completed. And I can tell you that, like with certain municipalities, they require you to bond just to even get permits to do kind of high risk work on the public street area. They require bonding. So, but more importantly, the real magic in construction-based businesses is cash flow. And the reason why is because labor is always your biggest cost in most businesses, but labor is even more, shall I say, it has a majority, a super majority outsized effect on construction-based businesses. And this is why project estimating, including labor, is really important. So understanding the speed that your crews work with, their capabilities, and how fast they can get things done, and precisely targeting what estimated materials that you're going to need for a project are really important. So cash flow is crucially important in construction for a couple of reasons. Number one, any business, of course, but like I'm looking at, I see, obviously I have construction pulled up there, but construction-based business, because it's so labor intensive, you want to have money for your guys and your girls to make sure that you can actually pay them. Okay. So let's take a look at some of these businesses. I just selected like a random state like New Hampshire, and I'm going to go through some of these. So generally speaking, when you go through like a listing site for businesses, like a broker site for businesses like Biz Buy Sell, they're going to give you a generic title of the company and what it does without the name of the company. So you can't skip over them and pass them and their fees and brokers and go directly to the company themselves. Sometimes it might be the company directly selling, but a lot of times you're going through a business broker to sell the company. And so that's kind of how it is with Biz Buy Sell. there are M&A lawyers out there who specialize in helping with the due diligence for M&As. It's really important when you're doing an M&A transaction, if you're thinking about jumping into the small business space, medium-sized business space, that you set up a team to do your acquisition in. Having a great lawyer, having a great accountant, and having someone, by the way, like myself, who specializes in systems and process design, because you want to know, just like you want to know if the financials are accurate, you want to know that the systems and processes, the framework that the business itself works in before you acquire it, can sustain the amount of revenue that's generating and that's coming in. You want to know that you are buying into an ecosystem that is super tight. This is independent M&A transactions outside of like the franchise space are a little bit different, because in the franchise space, the franchisor provides you with a lot of the operational items that have been tested over the years that work. Independently, you have to assess the systems of the business and to ask crucial questions, especially with functions in the business that support like things like profit and revenue generation. You got to make sure that those systems are super tight before you buy in. How do they acquire the customers? How have they done it recently? What's the plan for the future? Is the staff staying on? And what job function does everyone serve? And how does everyone currently on staff actually perform their jobs? How well are they doing in their jobs? And how long do they plan to stay? Right? All those things are important. And then you want to kind of like observe the business actually operating. That's what I would want to do before I bought any business. I would want to show up. I would want to see the business operating, and I want to see kind of how it operates in a daily basis. So without further ado, let's just kind of take a look at this. So here, again, the construction space, looking for cash flow. This is cash flowing 393 on 835, and it has real estate. So this is interesting because there's an asset based on the real estate. The business has an asset of its own. So let's take a look at some of the terms here. So the asking price, they're asking $835,000. You always want to look at the asking price. You want to look at the cash flow, 393, 822, and then FF&E. So FF&E stands for furniture, fixture, and equipment. Okay, so these are basically all the items in the business that, like office equipment, computers, things that help support the business, usually on an administrative level, but it also can include other equipment as well. Like display cases in retail, things like that. Look at the real estate right here. This is $940,000 in real estate. This is an interesting listing because look at this. Established fuel delivery and service company with real estate, right? So they lead you to believe that it comes with the real estate. But when you come here and look at the real estate, $940,000 with the asterisk, you see it's not included in the asking price, which means that for the entire business, including the real estate, they're looking for $1.7 million for this business and for the real estate altogether. Or they're willing to lease the space right back to you. You also want to look at the support and training, right? How are they going to support you and train you? They want to train you as needed to be negotiated. It says seller is willing to negotiate post-close employment and work for new owner in a non-managerial role. Interesting. So he's willing to stay on. And then it says the reason for selling is a change of pace. I'm not sure what that means, but you have to be very cautious with things like that. Change of pace type. Because what does that mean exactly? Person's not retiring, but they're also not staying, but they're also not, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird. So let's go back and see. Let's take a look at the results. Okay, back to the results. Let's go find another one. Okay, so how about this? Unbroker exclusive. So I guess this is the business. Oh, wait, is this the no? I guess this is broker. Okay, established and respected pool builder. So this is looks like a masonry type business, and they are asking for $2 million. Their revenue is 2.3. Their cash flow is $466,509. Okay. All right. So what you're gonna do is they have 65 grand in inventory, $3,500 a month rent. This individual, this business that's selling, they have a lot of FF&E. They've been around for 48 years. 2.3. This is a very high expense business, I can tell you that straight up. $466,509 in seller's discretionary earnings, which is essentially what the seller or the business owner actually uses for like their personal or daily life. And they add this back into the business as profit. And then this person multiply this times 1.5 roughly or so to come up with this number. They say 400,000 in equipment is included. I don't know. There's something that doesn't feel right about this SDE. But I wish they include that. They never include net profit, right? Because like this company, you can have $466,509 that the seller or the owner that has used in personal expenses and have taken out of the company to add back into the business as profit. The problem with that is that if the business is not profitable or has very low profit, then this profit to gross revenue range becomes an interesting exercise. Assuming that their net profit is not negative and it's a positive net profit, it's about a 20% roughly net profit. So if they're not negative net profit, then it might be okay if you're willing for 25% or 20% profitability on the business. Here's an interesting thing right here. It says the seller will provide appropriate training and support as mutually agreed upon by both parties. This tells me that a business owner is willing to stay on, not for long, but they want to try to help the business owner up and running. Okay. They say that most of the business has been through word of mouth referrals, but marketing can transform this business to like the next height. So 2.3 million and beyond. All right. The owner is retiring, which is always a good thing to see. I mean, it's not good that they're retiring, but it's good that they're retiring as a reason for selling. If another reason for selling is like pursuing other opportunities and they have other businesses, that also may be okay. But you really want to dig into that because that's going to tell you kind of where the business is. All right. So that's what I think about this business in particular. So let's go to another one. This is fun. I actually like doing this. Okay. So listings like this concern me just a bit. This business cash flows 375 grand. They have gross revenue of 646. That's not what concerns me. Okay. So they have about a 50% EBITDA on their company. They have 75 grand in furniture, fixtures, and expenses, and about 35 grand in inventory. Now, why does this listing concern me? I'll tell you why. The asking price of 250. This tells me that this company doesn't really have any employees. to do the work. Either they have like this EBITDA with employee, like if I doubt that they have many, especially with the 35,000 $35,000 in inventory. So about 5% of the 5% of the whole gross revenue for the year is in inventory, and they have 375 on 646 cash flow. It kind of concerns me because you're going to be stepping in to I didn't even know this. See this? Facilities. The business is run out of the seller's home. That tells that right there. And this person is retiring. So you would be buying basically the assets, maybe the customer list of this company, which is not a bad thing to do. So if you already have an existing business like this that's set up, so acquisition of this type of business would not be like, I wouldn't buy this business to come into it because I'm looking for a business. I would buy this business if I was already in the electrical contracting and refrigeration space, and I would just absorb this business into my business, because if you're just buying customers, routes, contracts, and that kind of stuff, then it makes sense to step into this business as like a kind of like an SBA 7A, getting a loan to try to earn money back. I went and do it because it doesn't seem like it's structured the way that you should buy it. 85-year plumbing and heating business, 1.3 million. Real estate is included. So this is interesting. This is actually quite interesting. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so asking price is 1.3 million. Cash flow 0. I mean, it's $1 million in revenue. They want 1.3. Inventory 200,000. Real estate 950. So you're basically buying the inventory. You're not buying the business, basically. That's what I would say. This says employees are 4. This is interesting. This kind of tells me that this says retiring after 50 years in the plumbing business and running a very successful business. This tells me that the owner likely took a lot of cash out of the business on a regular basis and never showed profit. That's what this tells me. Because either they forgot to put the cash flow in there, and the owner didn't think, like, they don't do their books well, and they have like QuickBooks, but they don't know how to do it. But like, to have $0 cash flow on $1.3 million as an asking price on $1 million in revenue is kind of scary to me a little bit. The fact that they are including the real estate for $950 to anchor the purchase of this business on is almost like this is just a real estate transaction. I mean, which is fine, because real estate is a fine business to be in, but how there's no real business information. There's red flags all over this, in my opinion, to not want to buy this. That's kind of how I would think about that. Okay. Sunroom design and installation business. So, okay, let's talk about this. $179,900 in cash flow. I mean, as the asking price. They cash flow $63,855 a year. That's roughly, they're looking for 3x on their cash flow. They do $328,581. They have $10,000 in inventory. They've been around since 1992. This seems to me like a small 1 or 2 person business, right? Like, they have $63,000 in cash flow on $328,000. Like, that is not one of those businesses that I would be interested in, because where's all their money going in their business? Like, what are the margins in their business? It's been operating for 30 years. It seems like this person is operating a successful 1 or 2 person shop. Let's see employees 2. And I didn't look at this before. You may be watching this video thinking I looked at these before. I didn't. I'm just going off of what the numbers tell me. And this tells me that unless, once again, you're running a business where you do sunroom design and installation, and you want to just add top line revenue of another $300,000, and you're okay with potentially getting like a 20% on your 328, and you got to invest 179. So you're looking at, let's say that nothing changes and you're spending 179 the first year. 179.9. Let's say that you need a loan. So we'll add, prime rate for that. Let's say 8.5%. So let's say you're financing 195, 191. You're doing 63, 855. And you got to finance, let's say the first year. So your cash on cash return is probably going to be around like 20%, which is not bad. However, I have a rule of thumb, which is that when you're looking for a cash on cash return for investing in a business, that you want to aim for a minimum of 25% cash on cash return. Some people might feel aggressive in real estate. That probably feels like really high because of just the volume of the amount of the real estate, generally speaking. But like in business, I think that you should be aiming for a 25% cash on cash return. Another business that is probably good for someone who's looking to roll in an extra few $100,000 in revenue into their business. Okay. Let's take a look at this specialty piping business for sale. This is interesting. And if there's a business that you want me to take a look at that's for sale and give my thoughts, I am more than willing to do that. Specialty piping business for sale in New Hampshire. Okay. First keywords, specialty piping business. If you don't love it, be careful. Okay, so let's see. Their gross revenue is $484,702. They cash flow $362,202. They have $168,000 in inventory. They've been around for 12 years, and they have about almost $100,000 in fixed furniture, fixtures, and equipment, which I think they're just throwing all the equipment that they have in their business in there, which you're not supposed to do for FF&E, but whatever. At $484,702 gross revenue and a cash flow of $362,202, I guarantee you this is a 1 or 2 person shop who is looking for, 4.5x their cash flow. Let's see. I hate being right on these things, but the numbers don't lie. Look at this. It's home base. Selwood Train. The business is currently home base. I knew it. Because these numbers from a home base, which is, it's okay to have a home based business. If you have an extensive client list and contracts. So here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to tell you is your kind of like foundation. If you're thinking about selling your business and it's only you by yourself, or if you have a partner, if you're generating significant gross revenue, I would say if you're generating over $750,000 a year or more with a 50% margin, and you have solid contracts that you have guaranteed revenue from, those businesses will sell. In my opinion, you'll be able to sell it. if you have this business and it's up to you to generate customer demand without contracts, and you don't really have a structure and a plan as home base, it's going to be very hard for you to sell that business. You're going to end up closing the doors, likely. Okay, I'll do one more because I have to go pick up my son from school. Okay, so this is a very profitable painting contractor company for sale. This business does $961,761 in gross revenue. They've been around since 2002, so 23 years. They cash flow 411,000, so almost 50. Their cash flow, cash flow is not net profit. Again, they don't say net profit here. They have about $150,000 in furniture, fixtures, and equipment. I'm gonna guess. Ready for this? They do almost $1 million with 411,000. I'm gonna guess this is a 3 to 4 person painting operation. Let's see. I haven't looked at this, just so you know. Oh, okay, more 10. Okay, this person has a lot of part timers and probably pays in cash a lot. I guarantee you. And they're selling for a change. I don't know what that means, and I would be concerned about that. Let's take a look. Over 200,000 worth of future projects already booked. So this is appealing right here. They've already booked almost $250,000. The sale includes 150,000 worth of top-notch equipment. This I'm not concerned about. So, okay, if you subtract 150 from this, you're still at over $1 million. So they're looking at 1x. A professionally designed website, a robust CRM system are in place, streamlining operations and enhancing customer engagement. Why invest? This company is not just about painting walls. It's about creating beautiful spaces and delivering exceptional customer experiences. With its excellent reputation, advanced tools, and committed workforce, this business is poised for continued success and growth. This is interesting. Now, here's the thing. I own a construction company that does drywall and painting. This is the kind of company that I likely, if they had a net profit of 50% and their outlays are, if they have a margin of 50% on $1 million and with $250,000 in sales with contracts behind those, I would buy this company for sure. But I'd have to do my due diligence and just to confirm the finances. This concerns me that the seller is only offering 2 weeks of training and they're looking for a change. I would have to understand what that change is, what it means and why, but yeah, that's something I'll have to take a look at. All right. Well, I had fun looking at these businesses with you. And so although my podcast guest didn't show up, this actually gave me an opportunity to kind of perhaps start doing something a little differently, looking at businesses for sale. If you have a business for sale that you want me to assess live on the air, if you want to come in ever and you want to talk about the business that you're looking to sell, look, I'm a business coach. Is what I do. I help businesses grow to scale so they can sell. But I also am in the trenches with you. I own like 3 businesses and I'm building businesses to sell myself. So, I can help you to see where your business is. I want to just assess your business. I have a million questions to ask, and I would love to do that live on the show. That would be great, I think, if you're thinking about selling your business. So maybe I'll do a live show and have guests on who are looking to sell their businesses and then go and do that. But I got to get out of here. I got to run. I got to go pick up my son. Thank you for tuning into the Common Sense Show. Until next time, if you're not going about your business, you're going to be doing the business of someone else. I'm Micah. You're you. I'm out of here.